Anytime now. There we go. Hello, everyone. Persephone Crestomancy here. Sorry about the technical difficulties. My headset got unplugged, so we're just gonna go with my this is October cameo. Check it out for the cards, everyone. Purring, purring. Aha! Yeah, we're gonna go with microphone override. I know I sound like female Venom, but you know what? At least it works, and people can understand me. So yeah. Oh, why do you do this to me? Yes, you do. Just let me. We're back. Yep, we're back. So, don't Google this picture. It's Watchdog Girl. It's very important. Anyway, we also have October Canyon, so I'm gonna do another post. I'm live streaming now. Um, if you're interested, I did not wrinkle that plastic bag. It's got candy bars in it. You wouldn't like them. Yes, it does. Don't like them. I know what's in there. I bought it. Anyway, so due to the fact that it got the technical difficulties happened just as I was in the middle of the story, because of course they did. I'm gonna restart. I'm gonna reread the entire story beginning to where we left off and into the end. So you get to hear the story again, kind of. In that case, so let's see if I can get. Let's see if Wolfo can come back. But yeah. It's an empty cup. The other kitty. Happy 11:59 a.m. for you. Well, thank you. All right, so I'm gonna get something to drink, and I'll be right back for the story. I'm terribly sorry for the technical difficulties that occurred, but that's life. It wouldn't be one of my live streams if something wasn't going wrong, now would it? Be right back. Oh, hush, October.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hi. I need these things for the topic. Hey, Mom's still on the thing.
I know. Doing a live stream, I will get them out of the way. One thing after another. One thing after another. It never ends. Anyway, so gonna reread the story to you guys. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties about the first live stream. Well, it wasn't your fault, October, though you are kind of photobombing with your tail and rubbing your face on my book. Why do you do this? Oh my goodness, what am I gonna do with you? Don't bite that. All right. So here is the story. Take two. And then you got really pretty illustrations, which I really love. We could be so much more than just another chimp on the floor. You should probably, oh my gosh. You would probably be on some narcotics. for him to start saying stuff like that. Because Yushin's silly, but he's somewhat serious. If he were on narcotics or under the influence of something, I could totally see him doing that. So anyway, okay, I'm reading a book. Could you not? Could you not? Could you not? Anyway. Alright. Would you stop and could you not knead on me? I love you too, but don't knead on me. Your claws hurt. Anyway. Rikki Tikki Tavi. At the hole where he went in, Red Eye called to Wrinkle Skin. And hear what little Red Eye saith. Nag, come up and dance with death. I'm back. Yay! So am I. Wolfer, I'm terribly, terribly, terribly sorry for the technical difficulties that occurred. I'm on microphone array. I know I sound garbled and all fumbly-umbled, but at least people can hear me. They understand me. And at least I can be heard without any technical issues occurring. So yeah, I'm terribly sorry for all this, guys. So I'm rereading the book from the beginning. So yeah. Cat attack! She's not attacking, she's just being a cat. October, why? Why do you do these things? Why? Got a clump in your fur. What the hell are you doing? And now you're gonna try and knock over my books. I love you, but don't do that. Stop it. I need to apologize. Well, still, I feel like I need to because I try and give you guys good quality content. So, yeah, anyway. From the top, take 2 of the story. Rikki Tikki Tavi. I love you, but do you have any idea how irritating you are right now? My goodness. All right. Rikki Tikki Tavi. At the hole where he went in, Red Eye called to Wrinkle Skin. Hear what little Red Eye saith. Nag, come up and dance with death. Eye to eye and head to head. Keep the measure, Nag. This shall end when one is dead. At thy pleasure, Nag. Turn for turn and twist, whist. Run and hide thee, Nag. Ha! The hooded death has missed. Woe betide thee, Nag. This is the story of the great war that Rikki Tikki Tavi fought, single-handed, through the bathrooms of the big bungalow in Sigauli Cantonment. Darcy, the tailor bird, helped him, and Chuchundra, the muskrat, who never comes out into the middle of the floor but always creeps round by the wall, gave him advice. But Rikki Tikki did the real fighting. Ah, yes, a war against like 3 snakes. Yep, there are really only 3 snakes in this story. But again, that's kind of what makes Rikki Tikki a hero. These snakes are all very dangerous and could kill him, and yet he does it anyway to protect the family. I'm just going to remove the cap. There we go. He was a mongoose, rather like a little cat in his fur and his tail, but quite like a weasel in his head and his habits. His eyes and the end of his restless nose were pink. He could scratch himself anywhere he pleased, with any leg, front or back, that he chose to use. He could fluff up his tail till it looked like a bottle brush, and his war cry as he scuttled through the long grass was, "Rikki Tikki Tikki Tick! Mongoose time!" Again. Yes, again, sadly. Oh well. Can't be helped. I'm gonna fix my hood. My cowl, essentially. Wear it like a hood. All right. One day, a high summer flood washed him out of the burrow where he lived with his father and mother, and carried him kicking and clucking down a roadside ditch. He found a little wisp of grass floating there, and clung to it till he lost his senses. When he revived, he was lying in the hot sun on the middle of a garden path, very draggled indeed, and a small boy was saying, "Here's a dead mongoose. Let's have a funeral." His war cry sounded like a broken electric pencil sharpener. If you've ever watched the cartoon adaptation of Rikki Tikki Tavi by Chuck Jones, I thought it sounded really cool when I was a little kid. I still kind of do. So fight me. Rikki, these humans are my meal ticket! Oh my goodness. You guys have a knack for making me laugh. I love that. Even when I try to be serious and very dramatic with these readings as a storyteller ought to be, I still like these moments where you make me laugh. It's fun. Anyway. No, said his mother. Let's take him in and dry him. Perhaps he really isn't dead. They took him into the house, and a big man picked him up between his finger and thumb, and said he was not dead but half choked. So they wrapped him in cotton wool and warmed him, and he opened his eyes and sneezed. As you do. The moment you wake up, you open your eyes, and you sneeze. As you do. Now, said the big man, he was an Englishman who had just moved into the bungalow. Don't frighten him, and we'll see what he'll do. It is the hardest thing in the world to frighten a mongoose, because he is eaten up from nose to tail with curiosity. The motto of all the mongoose family is, run and find out. And Rikki Tikki was a true mongoose. He looked at the cotton wool, decided that it was not good to eat, ran around all the tables, sat up, put his fur in order, scratched himself, and jumped on the small boy's shoulder. Don't be frightened, Teddy, said his father. That's his way of making friends. Ouch! He's tickling under my chin, said Teddy. Rikki Tikki looked down between the boy's collar and neck, snuffed at his ear, and climbed down to the floor where he sat rubbing his nose. Good gracious, said Teddy's mother, and that's a wild creature. I suppose he's so tame because we've been kind to him. All mongooses are like that, said her husband. If Teddy doesn't pick him up by the tail or try to put him in a cage, he'll run in and out of the house all day long. Let's give him something to eat. Pardon. They gave him a little piece of raw meat. Rikki Tikki liked it immensely. And when he was finished, he went out to the veranda and sat in the sunshine and fluffed up his fur to make it dry to the roots. Then he felt better. There are more things to find out about in this house, said Rikki to himself, than all my family could find out in all their lives. I shall certainly stay and find out. Rikki, before fight, hold on! Before I fight a snake, I gotta sharpen my pencil. The sharpener is kind of jingy, so it may take a moment. With my pencil. Hold on! Before I fight a snake, I gotta sharpen my pencil. The sharpener's kind of janky, so it may take a moment. That just, I mean, that makes me happy, geez. Wow. Oh, goodness. All right. And before I go on, we have Rikki Tikki trying to eat the cotton. It does not taste very good. And then we have Darcy, the tailor bird, and his wife in mourning. There we go. He spent all that day roaming over the house. He nearly drowned himself in the bathtubs, put his nose into the ink on a writing table, and burnt it on the end of the big man's cigar, for he climbed up in the big man's lap to see how writing was done. At nightfall, he ran into Teddy's nursery and watched how kerosene lamps were lighted, and when Teddy went to bed, Rikki Tikki climbed up too. But he was a restless companion, because he had to get up and attend to every noise all through the night and find out what made it. Teddy's mother and father came in, the last thing, to look at their boy, and Rikki Tikki was awake on the pillow. I don't like that, said Teddy's mother. He may bite the child. He'll do no such thing, said the father. Teddy's safer with that little beast than if he had a bloodhound to watch him. If a snake came into the nursery now, but Teddy's mother wouldn't think of anything so awful. A pencil sword! Casually got these little animals stabbing people with office supplies, sharpened pencils. Stab, stab, stab. I don't know. The fact that he's got a pencil, though. Just kind of I don't know, it's kind of funny. It makes me think of Tiger Woods from Between the Lion. Or Tiger Woods. He wanted to hotbox a cigar? No, he just accidentally burnt his nose on the end of the big man's cigar. So, here we go. Early in the morning, Rikki Tikki came to early breakfast in the veranda, riding on Teddy's shoulder, and they gave him banana and some boiled egg, and he sat on all of their laps one after the other, because every well-brought-up mongoose hopes to be a house mongoose someday. Ricky's mother, she used to live in the general's house at Segoli, had carefully told Rikki what to do if he ever came across white men. Animal offices are rough. Only if you get into a fight with someone, then they're pretty rough. Otherwise, I can see them being peaceful-ish. Then Rikki Tikki went out into the garden to see what was to be seen. It was a large garden, only half cultivated, with bushes as big as summer houses of Marshall Neil roses, lime and orange trees, clumps of bamboo, and thickets of high grass. Rikki Tikki licked his lips. "This is a splendid hunting ground," he said, and his tail grew bottle-brushy at the thought of it. He had scuttled up and down the garden, snuffing here and there till he heard very sorrowful voices in a thorn bush. It was Darcy, the tailor bird, and his wife. They had made a beautiful nest by pulling 2 big leaves together and stitching them up the edges with fibers, and had filled the hollow with cotton and downy fluff. The nest swayed to and fro as they sat on the rim and cried. "What is the matter?" asked Rikki Tikki. "We are very miserable," said Darcy. "One of our babies fell out of the nest yesterday, and Nag ate him." Said Rikki Tikki. "That is very sad, but I am a stranger here. Who is Nag?" "Snake commits childbirth nom-noms." That's one way of saying infanticide. Childbirth nom-noms. Snake commits childbirth nom-noms. That's the worst crime. But it is life, so. So yeah, Rikki Tikki. "That is very sad, but I am a stranger here. Who is Nag?" Darcy and his wife only cowered down in the nest without answering him, for from the thick grass at the foot of the bush there came a low hiss, a horrid, cold sound that made Rikki Tikki jump back 2 clear feet. Then, inch by inch out of the grass, rose up the head and spread hood of Nock, the big black cobra. Circle of life, circle of death. It's just the way it is. Yep. And he was 5 feet long, from tongue to tail. When he lifted 1/3 of himself clear on the ground, he stayed balancing to and fro, exactly as a dandelion tuft balances in the wind, and he looked at Rikki Tikki with the wicked snake's eyes that never changed their expression, whatever the snake may be thinking of. "Who is Nag?" said he. "I am Nag. The great god Brahm put his mark upon all our people when the first cobra spread his hood to keep the sun off Brahm as he slept. Look and be afraid." He spread out his hood more than ever, and Rikki Tikki saw the spectacle mark on the back of it that looked exactly like the eye part of a hook and eye fastening. He was afraid for a minute, but it is impossible for a mongoose to stay frightened for any length of time. And though Rikki Tikki had never met a live cobra before, his mother had fed him on dead ones. I made the new opening for a Lion King sequel. It's a circle of death. It kills us all. Oh my goodness, Matt. I swear. Jeez. And though Rikki Tikki had never met a live cobra before, his mother had fed him on dead ones. And he knew that all a grown mongoose's business in life was to fight and eat snakes. Nag knew that too, and at the bottom of his cold heart he was afraid. "Well," said Rikki Tikki, as his tail began to fluff up again, "marks or no marks, do you think it is right for you to eat fledglings out of a nest?" Nag was thinking to himself, watching the least little movement in the grass behind Rikki Tikki. He knew that mongooses in the garden meant death, sooner or later, for him and his family. But he wanted to get Rikki Tikki off his guard, so he dropped his head a little and put it on one side. "Let us talk," he said. "You eat eggs. Why should not I eat birds?" "Behind you! Look behind you!" sang Darcy. Rikki Tikki knew better than to waste time in staring. He jumped up in the air as high as he could go, and just under him whizzed by the head of Nagaina, Nag's wicked wife. She had crept up behind him as he was talking, to make an end of him, and he heard her savage hiss as the stroke missed. He came down almost across her back, and if he had been an old mongoose, he would have known that then was the time to break her back with one bite. But he was afraid of the terrible lashing return stroke of the cobra. He bit indeed, but he did not bite long enough, and he jumped clear of the whisking tail, leaving Nagaina torn and angry. Here we have Knock, the cobra, and then we have this epic illustration of Naga and Nagaina surrounding Rikki Tikki Tavi and Darcy warning him. And then you got little bits of quote from the story. I love these illustrations so much. They make me so happy. When do you think we'll get a story about a pissed off fisher cat? If a mongoose can get a story, so can a fisher cat. Well, I'm currently working on one book at the moment, but I suppose further on down the road, maybe my third book could be a sequel to the Tales by the Fire series. And it could have a fisher cat story, so we'll see, maybe. Alright, here we go. "Wicked, wicked Darcy," said Nag, lashing up as high as he could reach towards the nest at the thorn bush. But Darcy had built it out of the reach of snakes, and it only swayed to and fro. The mongoose equivalent of a backhand! Getting a bite. Getting a bite, I guess, would probably count as a backhand in some cases, though still. Mongoose equivalent of a backhand! This mongoose will not hesitate! Anyway. Here it comes. Rikki Tikki felt his eyes growing red and hot. When a mongoose's eyes grow red, he is angry. And he sat back on his tail and hind legs like a little kangaroo and looked all around him and chattered with rage. But Nag and Nagaina had disappeared into the grass. When a snake misses its stroke, it never says anything or gives any sign of what it means to do next. Rikki Tikki did not care to follow them, for he did not feel sure that he could manage 2 snakes at once. So he trotted off to the gravel path near the house and sat down to think. It was a serious matter for him. If you read the old books of natural history, you will find they say that when a mongoose fights a snake and happens to get bitten, he runs off and eats some herb that cures him. That is not true. Victory is only a matter of quickness of eye and quickness of foot. Snakes blow against mongooses jump, and as no eye can follow the motion of a snake's head when it strikes, that makes things much more wonderful than any magic herb. And again, I'll dig into that a bit more at the end of the story. Rikki Tikki knew he was a young mongoose, and it made him all the more pleased to think that he had managed to escape a blow from behind. It gave him confidence in himself. And when Teddy came running down the path, Rikki Tikki was ready to be petted. A mongoose is like the mammalian equivalent of a middle finger to all snakes and legless lizards. Mongoose is a mammalian equivalent to a middle finger to all snakes and legless lizards. Well, hey. I mean, I'm not judging. Snakes got history. All the way back. Way, way back. So, I mean, mongooses are cool, though. So, yeah. Rikki was ready to be petted. But just as Teddy was stooping, something flinched a little in the dust, and a tiny voice said, "Be careful. I am death." It was Karate, the dusty brown snakeling that lies for choice on the dusty earth, and his bite is as dangerous as a cobra's. But he is so small that nobody thinks of him, and so he does the more harm to people. Rikki Tikki's eyes grew red again, and he danced up to Karate with the peculiar rocking, swaying motion that he inherited from his family. It looks very funny, but it is so perfectly balanced a gait that you can fly from it at any angle you please, and in dealing with snakes, this is an advantage. That's why their tails lift up. It's the mongoose's way of flipping the bird. Well, it does get pretty bottle brushy, so, and then they have their war cry, so it's pretty intimidating if you are a snake. So, yeah. If Rikki Tikki had only known, he was doing a much more dangerous thing than fighting Nog. For Karate is so small and can turn so quickly that unless Rikki bit him close to the back of the head, he would get the return stroke in his eye or his lip. But Rikki did not know. His eyes were all red, and he rocked back and forth, looking for a good place to hold. Karate struck out. Rikki jumped sideways and tried to run in, but the wicked, dusty little gray head lashed within a fraction of his shoulder, and he had to jump over the body, and the head followed his heels close. Teddy shouted to the house, "Oh, look here! Our mongoose is killing a snake!" And Rikki Tikki heard a scream from Teddy's mother. His father ran out with a stick, but by the time he came up, Karate had lunged out once too far, and Rikki Tikki had sprung, jumped on the snake's back, dropped his head far between his forepaws, bitten as high up the back as he could get hold, and rolled away. That bite paralyzed Karate. And Rikki Tikki was just going to eat him up from the tail, after the custom of his family at dinner, when he remembered that a full meal makes a slow mongoose. And if he wanted his quickness, when he remembered that a full meal makes a slow mongoose, and if he wanted all his strength and quickness at the ready, he must keep himself thin. They flipped the bird and poorly sharpened pencils. A perfect war dance, too. Yep. Poorly sharpened pencils. Oh my goodness. You're silly, Matt. All right. He went away for a dust bath under the castor oil bushes, while Teddy's father beat the dead Karate. What is the use of that, thought Rikki Tikki. I have settled it all. And then Teddy's mother picked him up from the dust and hugged him, crying that he had saved Teddy from death, and Teddy's father said that he was a providence. And Teddy looked on with big, scared eyes. Rikki Tikki was rather amused at all of us, which of course he did not understand. Teddy's mother might just as well have petted Teddy for playing in the dust. Rikki was thoroughly enjoying himself. They shake and jump like a dry machine on full speed when doing their war dance. Well, hey. They know how to kick snake tail and to look cool while doing it. Besides, you can't tell me that many of the things that animals do to survive in nature is fascinating. Like a mongoose doing a war dance. Oh, shit. There we go. That night at dinner, walking to and fro among the wine glasses on the table, he could have stuffed himself 3 times over with nice things. But he remembered Naga Nagaina, and though it was very pleasant to be patted and petted by Teddy's mother and to sit on Teddy's shoulder, his eyes would get red from time to time, and he would go off into his long war cry of Rikki Tikki Tavi, or a peacock spider dancing like a madman. Peacock spider trying to get some lovin' and not get eaten. Rikki, I'll end it, man. Reading that quote, I just thought of Rikki Tikki, the little superhero suit. I'm sorry. It's kind of funny, but yeah. So here we go. Here we have Rikki Tikki again, and then we have Chuchundra, the sad muskrat, who cries big tears. Teddy carried him off to bed and insisted on Rikki Tikki sleeping under his chin. Rikki Tikki was too well bred to bite or scratch, but as soon as Teddy was asleep, he went off for his nightly walk round the house, and in the dark he ran up against Chuchundra, Scratch creeping round by the wall. Chuchundra is a broken-hearted little beast. He whimpers and cheeps all the night, trying to make up his mind to run into the middle of the room, but he never gets there. "Don't kill me," said Chuchundra, almost weeping. "Rikki Tikki, don't kill me." "Do you think a snake killer kills muskrats?" said Rikki Tikki scornfully. "It's sad, our folks." "Yep, Chuchundra the muskrat." "A little handkerchief cape?" "Yes." Rikki Tikki is a hero. He may not be a superhero with laser eyes, but he's still a hero. So I'll find people on that. I will die on that hill. I'm okay with that. It's a small hill, but I am okay with stubbing my toe on it. Anyway. I'm gonna reread Chuchundra's first line, so "Don't kill me," said Chuchundra, almost weeping. "Rikki Tikki, don't kill me." "Do you think a snake killer kills muskrats?" said Rikki Tikki scornfully. "Those who kill snakes get killed by snakes," said Chuchundra, more sorrowfully than ever. "And how am I to be sure that Nog won't mistake me for you some dark night?" "There's not the least danger." "There's not the least danger," said Rikki Tikki. "But Nag is in the garden, and I know you don't go there." "My cousin Chua, the rat, told me," said Chuchundra, and then he stopped. "Told you what?" "Nag is everywhere, Rikki Tikki. You should have talked to Chua in the garden." "I didn't, so you must tell me. Quick, Chuchundra, or I'll bite you." Chuchundra sat down and cried till the tears rolled off his whiskers. "I'm a very poor man," he sobbed. "I never had spirit enough to run out in the middle of the room. I mustn't tell you anything. Can't you hear, Rikki Tikki?" Rikki Tikki listened. The house was as still as still. But he thought he could just catch the faintest scratch in the world, a noise as faint as that of a wasp walking on a window pane, the dry scratch of a snake's scales on brickwork. "That's Nag, or Nagaina," he said to himself, "and he's crawling into the bathroom sluice. You're right, Chuchundra. I should have talked to Chua." He stole off to Teddy's bathroom, but there was nothing there. Then to Teddy's mother's bathroom. At the bottom of the smooth plaster wall, there was a brick pulled out to make a sluice for the bathwater. And as Rikki Tikki stole in the masonry curb where the bath is put, he heard Nag and Nagaina whispering together outside in the moonlight. "Rikki, dude, would you just stop bawling for a minute? Here, have a handkerchief. Calm down. It's okay." Nah, this is why Indiana Jones hates snakes. I mean, that could be one reason. I'm gonna get a drink of water and then refreshing. Okay, so yeah, Naga and Nagini are whispering together in the moonlight. "When the house is emptied of people," said Nagaina to her husband, "he will have to go away, and then the garden will be our own again. Go in quietly, and remember that the big man who killed Correct is the first one to bite. Then come out and tell me, and we will hunt for Rikki Tikki together." "But are you sure there is anything to be gained by killing the people?" said Nag. "Everything. When there were no people in the bungalow, did we have any mongoose in the garden? So long as the bungalow is empty, we are king and queen of the garden. And remember that as soon as our eggs in the melon bed hatch, as they may tomorrow, our children will need room, and quite."
I had not thought of that, said Nag. I will go, but there is no need that we should hunt for Rikki Tikki afterwards. I will kill the big man and his wife and the child if I can, and come away quietly. Then the bungalow will be empty, and Rikki Tikki will go.
So yeah, once again, I get the Shakespeare vibes with Macbeth, with Nagaina insisting that the humans die, so Rikki Tikki leaves. And as you see, we got Chuchundra crying so hard that the tears roll off his whiskers, and we have Nag and Nagaina, our villainous power couple, scheming to commit a murder. What makes the snakes think that killing the people will drive the mongoose away? That just means the mongoose will go into rage mode! I mean, it might. Rikki Tikki is a young mongoose, so they maybe think that he might leave. I don't know. The book doesn't say. It's up to theories. That's what fan theories are for. That's just a theory, a book theory, and cut. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, so Rikki Tikki overheard their plan. Rikki Tikki tingled all over with rage and hatred at this, and then Nag's head came through the sleuth, and his 5 feet of cold body followed it. Angry as he was, Rikki Tikki was very frightened. As he saw the size of the big cobra, Nag coiled himself up, raised his head, and looked into the bathroom in the dark, and Rikki Tikki could see his eyes glitter. She does reveal the location of her eggs. A feast for a mongoose. Rikki Tikki having an omelet. Making some omelets. My pet's lawyers will be seeing you. Hey, it was just a one-off thing. It was a parody line. I'm not going to make a book theory type thing. I do better reading stories to you guys, making ASMR, and writing books. That's my roundhouse. I will leave the theorizing up to the professionals. So, yeah. Anywho. So, Rikki Tikki can see Nag's eyes glittering in the dark. Now, if I kill him here, Nagaina will know. And if I fight him on the open floor, the odds are in his favor. What am I to do? Said Rikki Tikki Tavi. Nag waved to and fro, and then Rikki Tikki heard him drinking from the biggest water jar that was used to fill the bath. That is good, said the snake. Now, when Courage was killed, the big man had a stick. He may have that stick still, but when he comes in to bathe in the morning, he will not have a stick. I shall wait here till he comes. Nagaina, do you hear me? I shall wait here in the cool till daytime. There was no answer from outside, so Rikki Tikki knew Nagaina had gone away. MatPat is coming, Persev! He's hungry for YouTuber blood! MatPat is not hungry for YouTuber blood. He seems like a very nice person. Anyway, so Nag is coiled up at the bottom of one of the jars. He is going to stay there till daytime, and Nagaina has left for the evening, so... Nag coiled himself down, coil by coil, round the bulge at the bottom of the water jar, and Rikki Tikki stayed still as death. After an hour, he began to move muscle by muscle toward the jar. Nag was asleep, and Rikki Tikki looked at his big back, wondering which would be the best place for a good hold. Never trust a mat. I should know firsthand. Well, you're a mat, and I trust you. So there. I loved this scene because in the animated film it was silent, but then there was the ringing of the clock. All right, I'm getting dramatic when I read these stories. Rikki Tikki looked at his big back, wondering which would be the best place for a good hold. If I don't break his back at the first jump, said Rikki, he can still fight. And if he fights... Oh, Rikki.
He looked at the thickness of the neck below the hood, but that was too much for him, and a bite near the tail would only make Nag savage. "It must be the head," he said at last. "The head above the hood. And when I am once there, I must not let go."
The animated film did show rather than tell. I like both the story and the animated film. I like them both. Ricky's gonna do a backstab! More like a backbite. So, snake fight! It's not really a snake fight if only one of... Well, I mean, technically it kind of is since one of them is a snake, but... Jeez, anyway. I love that line, though. "It must be the head," said Rick. He said at last. "The head above the hood. And when I am once there, I must not let go." Then he jumped. The head was lying a little clear of the water jar, under the curve of it, and as his teeth met, Ricky braced his back against the bulge of the red earthenware to hold down the head. This gave him just 1 second's purchase, and he made the most of it. Then he was battered to and fro, as a rat is shaken by a dog, to and fro on the floor, up and down and round in great circles. But his eyes were red, and he held on as the body cartwhipped over the floor, upsetting the tin dipper and the soap dish and the flesh brush, and banged against the tin side of the bath. And as he held, he closed his jaws tighter and tighter, for he made sure that he would be banged to death, and for the honor of his family, he would prefer to be found with his teeth locked. He was dizzy, aching, and felt shaken to pieces. When something went off like a thunderclap just behind him. A hot wind knocked him senseless, and red fire singed his fur. The big man had been wakened by the noise, and had fired both barrels of a shotgun into Nag just behind the hood. Ricky is fighting a snake. When a man dwarf fights a bull, it's called a bullfight. So, okay, yeah, you're right. It technically is a snake fight. So, once again, snake fight! But the fight's over. Woe betide thee, Nag. So, yes, the big man had been woken up, and he fired both barrels of a shotgun into Nag just behind the hood. Rikki Tikki held on with his eyes shut. For now he was quite sure he was dead. But the head did not move. And the big man picked him up and said, "It's the mongoose again, Alice. The little chap has saved our lives now." When Teddy's mother came in with a very white face and saw what was left of Nag, and Rikki Tikki dragged himself into Teddy's bedroom and spent half the rest of the night shaking himself tenderly to find out whether he really was broken into 40 pieces, as he fancied. Snake death! Yep, that's a dead snake right there. Rikki Tikki fought valiantly. He's a noble fighter. When morning came, he was very stiff, but well pleased with his doing. "Now I have Nagaina to deal with, and she will be worse than 5 nags. And there is no knowing when the egg she spoke of will hatch. Goodness, I must go and see Darzee," he said. Without waiting for breakfast, Rikki Tikki ran to the thorn bush, where Darzee was singing a song of triumph at the top of his lungs. The news of Nag's death was all over the garden, for the sweeper had thrown the body on the rubbish heap. "Oh, you stupid tuft of feathers!" said Rikki Tikki angrily. "Is this the time to sing?" "Sing? Nug is dead! He's dead! sang Darzee. "The valiant Rikki Tikki caught him by the head and fell fast. The big man brought the banging stick and Nag fell in 2 pieces. He will never eat my babies again!" Now he's got to deal with an angry widow. Yep. Now I got to deal with the wife. Oh no. I mean, hey, if someone killed my husband, I'd probably, like, if they got arrested, I'd want to at least stab them once. So yeah, now he's got to deal with an angry widow. Bet. Anyway. So yeah, we have Darcy singing very much because he is so overjoyed that Nag is dead and will never eat his poor little eggs again. That is all true enough, but where is Nagaina? said Rikki Tikki, looking carefully around for him. Nagaina came into the bathroom sluice and called for Nag, Darcy went on, and Nag came out at the end of a stick. The sweeper picked him up on the end of a stick and threw him upon the rubbish heap. Let us sing about the great red-eyed Rikki Tikki. And Darcy filled his throat and sang. If I could get up to your nest, I'd roll all your babies out, said Rikki Tikki. You don't know when to do the right thing at the right time. You are safe enough in your nest there, but it is war for me down here. Stop singing a minute, Darcy. A shotgun blast that close at range would have blown Nag into Snake McNuggets. Snake Nuggets, yep. Rikki might also have to worry about another threat as well. The Moon Knight. No. Hush. Give me a sec. I'm going to hit the bathroom really quick. I'll be right back. Sorry. Brief intermission. But yeah, I feel sorry for Rikki Tikki. It's like, oh, you stupid tuft of feathers. Is this the time to sing? And Darcy says, yes! There we go. Alrighty. Something fell. I'll take care of it later. Rikki might also have to worry about another threat as well. The Moon Knight. No. Rikki, dude! You're gonna blow my cover! Stealth is important here! Can you blame Darcy? He has lost children to Nag for most likely multiple years, and now that Nag is dead, he will never have to worry about his children being eaten. So, I think that kind of justifies the singing, but at the same time, yeah, Rikki Tikki, is kind of serious stuff going on. Because now Nagaina's gonna come on a calling, because her husband's dead. So, stop singing a minute, Darcy! For the great and beautiful Rikki Tikki's sake, I will stop, said Darcy. What is it, O killer of the terrible Nag? Nag, where is Nagaina for the third time? I'm on the rubbish heap by the stables, mourning for Nag. Great is Rikki Tikki with the white teeth! Bother my white teeth! Have you ever heard where she keeps her eggs? In the melon bed on the end nearest the wall, where the sun strikes nearly all day. She hid them there weeks ago. I wish a bird called me beautiful. I think I can arrange that, Matt. I think I can arrange that. Just let me get all my ASMRs done, because I'm almost there. Anyway, she hid them there weeks ago. And you never thought it worthwhile to tell me. The end nearest the wall, you said? Rikki Tikki, you are not going to eat her eggs. Yes. Find a harpy girlfriend, Matt. Thank you. Don't worry. I can make a harpy happen. Anyway. Darcy just mentions where Nagaina keeps her eggs and Rikki Tikki. And you never thought it worthwhile to tell me. The end nearest the wall, you said. Said, Rikki Tikki, you are not going to eat her eggs. Not exactly, no, Darcy. If you had any grain of sense, you will fly off to the stables and pretend that your wing is broken, and let Nagaina chase you away to this bush. I must get to the melon bed, and if I went there now, she'd see me. Darcy was a feather-brained little fellow who could never hold more than one idea at a time in his head. And just because he knew that Nagaina's children were born in eggs like his own, he didn't think at first that it was fair to kill Darcy, the tailor bird, just having some morals, like issues with the cobra eggs being killed since Nagaina's children were born in eggs like his. He didn't think at first that it was fair to kill them. But his wife was a sensible bird, and she knew that cobra eggs meant young cobras later on. So she flew off from the nest and left Darcy to keep the babies warm, and continue a song about the death of Nag. Darcy was very like a man in some ways. Like a human man. I mean, hey, some people are like that. Still. She fluttered in front of Nagaina by the rubbish heap and cried out, "Oh, my wing is broken! The boy in the house threw a stone at me and broke it!" And then she fluttered more desperately than ever. Nagaina lifted up her head and hissed, "You warned Rikki Tikki when I would have killed him. Indeed and truly you have chosen a bad place to be lame in." And she moved toward Darcy's wife, slipping along over the dust. Rikki is quite tactically proficient. Temput armat salent lige. Ooh! Chicken wings! Not chicken wings. Because Darcy's wife is sensible, and she's only pretending that her wing is broken. So no chicken wings. The boy broke it with a stone, shrieked Darcy's wife. Well, it may be some consolation to you, when you are dead, to know that I will settle accounts with the boy. My husband lies on the rubbish heap this morning, but before night the boy in the house will lie very still. What is the use of running away? I am sure to catch you, little fool. Look at me! Darcy's wife knew better than to do that, for a bird who looks into a snake's eyes gets so frightened that she cannot move. Darcy's wife fluttered on, piping softly and never leaving the ground, and Nagaina quickened her pace. Rikki Tikki heard them going up the path from the stables, and he raced for the end of the melon patch near the wall. There, in the warm litter about the melons, very cunningly hidden, he found 25 eggs, about the size of a bantam's eggs, but with whitish skin instead of shell. I was not a day too soon, he said, for he could see the baby cobras curled up inside the skin, and he knew that the minute they were hatched, they could each kill a man or a mongoose. He bit the tops off the eggs as fast as he could, taking care to crush the young cobras, and turned over the litter from time to time to see whether he missed any. And here we see Rikki Tikki Tavi talking to Darcy and telling him, "You know, if you were smart, you would pretend your wing was broken and let Nagaina chase you so I could go to the melon bed, because if I went now, she'd see me." And then you have Darcy's wife distracting Nagaina, because Darcy's wife is a sensible bird. Like when a human looks into a lamia's eyes, too charmed to move, or if they look into a gorgon's eyes. So yes, there are the illustrations. All right, so he breaks open the eggs and starts crushing them and making sure he got them. At last, there were only 3 eggs left, and Rikki Tikki began to chuckle to himself when he heard Darzy's wife screaming, "Rikki Tikki, I led Nagaina toward the house, and she has gone into the veranda, and oh, come quickly, she means killing." Rikki Tikki smashed 2 eggs and tumbled backward down the melon bed with the 3rd egg in his mouth, and scuttled to the veranda as hard as he could put foot to the ground. Teddy and his mother and father were at early breakfast, but Rikki Tikki saw that they were not eating anything. They sat stone still, and their faces were white.
Nagaina was coiled up against the matting by Teddy's chair, within easy striking distance of Teddy's bare leg. And she was swaying to and fro, singing a song of triumph. "Son of the big man that killed Nag," she hissed. "Stay still. I am not ready yet. Wait a little. Keep very still, all you three. If you move, I strike, and if you do not move, I strike. Oh, foolish people who killed my Nag." Teddy's eyes were fixed on his father, and all his father could do was whisper, "Sit still, Teddy. You mustn't move, Teddy. Keep still." I'm going to get pretty dramatic here. Then Rikki Tikki came up and cried, "Turn around, Nagaina. Turn and fight." "All in good time," said she without moving her eyes. "I will settle my account with you presently. Look at your friends, Rikki Tikki. They are still and white. They are afraid. They dare not move. And if you come a step nearer, I strike." "Look at your eggs," said Rikki Tikki, "in the melon bed near the wall. Go and look, Nagaina." The big snake turned half round and saw the egg on the veranda. "Give it," she said. Rikki Tikki put his paws on one on each side of the egg, and his eyes were blood red. "What price for a snake's egg?" "For a young cobra. For a young king cobra. The very last of the brood. The ants are eating all the others down by the melon bed." Nagaina spun clear round, forgetting everything for the sake of that one egg. And Rikki Tikki saw Teddy's father shoot out a big hand and catch Teddy by the shoulder and drag him across the little table with the teacups, safe and out of reach of Nagaina. Nagaina, tricked, chuckled Rikki Tikki. "The boy is safe, and it was I that caught Nag by the hood last night in the bathroom." Then he jumped up and down on all 4 feet together, his head close to the floor. "He threw me to and fro, but he could not shake me off. He was dead before the big man blew him in two. I did it! Tick, ticky, tick, tick, tick. Come then, Nagaina. Come and fight with me. You shall not be a widow long." Nagaina saw that she had lost her chance of killing Teddy, and the egg lay between Rikki Tikki's paws. "Give me the egg, Rikki Tikki. Give me the last of my eggs, and I will go away and never come back," she said, lowering her hood. "Yes, you will go away, and you will never come back, for you will go to the rubbish heap with Nag. Fight, widow! The big man has gone for his gun. Fight!" Rikki Tikki was bounding all round Nagaina, keeping just out of reach of her stroke, his little eyes like hot coals. Nagaina gathered herself together and flung out at him. Rikki Tikki jumped up and backward. Again and again and again she struck, and each time her head came within a whack on the matting of the veranda, and she gathered herself like a watch spring. Then Rikki Tikki danced in a circle to get behind her, and Nagaina spun around to keep her head to his head, so that the rustle of her tail on the matting sounded like dry leaves blown along in the wind. He had forgotten the egg. It lay still on the veranda, and Nagaina came nearer and nearer to it, till at last, while Rikki Tikki was drawing breath, she caught it in her mouth, turned to the veranda steps, and flew like an arrow down the path, with Rikki Tikki behind her. When a cobra runs for her life, she goes like a whiplash flicked across a horse's neck. Rikki Tikki knew that he must catch her, or all the trouble would begin again. She headed straight for the long grass by the thorn bush, and as he was running, Rikki Tikki heard Darzee still singing his foolish little song of triumph. But Darzee's wife was wiser. She flew off her nest as Nagaina came along, and flapped her wings about Nagaina's head. If Darzee had helped, they might have turned her, but Nagaina only lowered her hood and went on. Still, the instant delay brought Rikki Tikki up to her, and as she plunged into the rat hole where she and Nag used to live, his little white teeth were clenched on her tail. clenched on her tail, and he went down with her. And very few mongooses, however wise and old they may be, care to follow a cobra into its hole. Get her, little mongoose man! Get her! Don't worry, he gonna get her. So there we have it. She went down into the rat hole and he went down with her. So I'm just going to reread that sentence. His little white teeth were clenched to her tail, and he went down with her. And very few mongooses, however wise and old they may be, care to follow a cobra into its hole. It was dark in the hole, and Rikki Tikki never knew when it might open out and give Nagaina room to turn and strike him. He held on savagely and struck out his feet to act as brakes on the dark slope of the hot, moist earth. Here we have Rikki Tikki with the egg, and Rikki Tikki clutched onto Nagaina's tail. It's a very intense story. It's short, but it gets intense at all the right moments. Then the grass of the mouth of the hole stopped waving, and Darcy said, "It is all over with Rikki Tikki. We must sing his death song. Valiant Rikki Tikki is dead, for Nagaina will surely kill him underground." So he sang a very mournful song that he made up on the spur of the moment, and just as he got to the most touching part, the grass quivered again, and Rikki Tikki, covered with dirt, dragged himself out of the hole leg by leg, licking his whiskers. Darcy stopped with a little shout, and Rikki Tikki shook some of the dust out of his fur and sneezed. "It's all over," he said. "The widow will never come out again." And the red ants that lived between the grass stems heard him, and began to troop down one after the other to see if he had spoken the truth. Rikki Tikki curled himself up beside the grass and slept where he was, slept and slept till it was late in the afternoon, for he had done a hard day's work. Rikki, it's a fiction day! The delicious snake. Well, I mean, in what way is Nagaina delicious? Because I don't think Rikki Tikki ate her. Like, he was too tired. He shook out the dust out of his fur and sneezed, and he looks exhausted in the illustration, which I'll show to you in a bit. But yeah, he slept and slept till it was in the afternoon. I don't think he ate Nagaina's corpse. So, and slept till it was late in the afternoon, for he had done a hard day's work. "Now," he said when he awoke, "I will go back to the house. Tell the coppersmith, Darcy, and he will tell the garden that Nagaina is dead." The coppersmith is a bird who makes a noise exactly like the beating of a little hammer on a copper pot, and the reason he is always making it is because he is the town crier to every Indian garden, and tells everybody who cares to listen. As Rikki Tikki went up along the path, he heard his attention notes, like a tiny dinner gong, and then the steady ding-dong tuck. "Nag is dead. Dong. Nagaina is dead. Ding-dong tuck." That was my cell phone. Ignore that. That set all the birds in the garden singing and the frogs croaking, for Nagaina used to eat frogs as well as little birds. Samsung says hello! It actually is another Samsung cell phone that I got. It's new. It's shiny. And it holds a charge. A bird town crier. Yep, the coppersmith, who does his job very well. And, I mean, he did his job very well. That set all the birds in the garden singing when they heard that Nag and Nagaina were dead. When Rikki Tikki got to the house, Teddy and Teddy's mother, she still looked very white, for she had been fainting. And Teddy's father came out and almost cried over him. And that night he ate all that was given to him till he could eat no more, and went to bed on Teddy's shoulder, where Teddy's mother saw him when she came to look late at night. "He saved our lives and Teddy's lives," she said to her husband. "Just think, he saved all our lives." Rikki Tikki woke with a jump, for all mongooses are light sleepers. "Oh, it's you," he said. "What are you bothering for? All the cobras are dead, and if they weren't, I'm here." Rikki Tikki had a right to be proud of himself, but he did not grow too proud. And he kept that garden, as a mongoose should keep it, with tooth and jump and spring and bite, till never a cobra dared showed its head inside the walls. Here's the illustration of Rikki Tikki coming out of the cobra's hole. As you can see, he looks exhausted. Considering that, as he said, Nagaina would be worse than 5 of her husbands. Yeah, that took a lot of starch out of him, but he did a hard day's work and he won. He won the battle. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Hooray! The mongoose won. Beware of mongoose. They don't need a beware the mongoose sign. Rikki Tikki's reputation no doubt precedes him. And again, he just kept that garden as a mongoose should keep it, with tooth and jump and spring and bite till no snake ever dared show its head in the wall. And he had a right to be proud of himself. He didn't grow too proud though, and that is greatly important. Because you know what happens. Pride will always come before the fall. But that is the story of Rikki Tikki Tavi, and I'm sorry I had to reread the entire thing due to technical difficulties on the live stream, but I got to read it to you guys. And you know what? That is still just wonderful. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. But as I mentioned before, I got another adaptation. It's a manga version, and it's the whole Jungle Book in manga form. So basically this, but imagine it as a manga. I could try and grab it. In fact, I'll try to, but okay, that did not cause stuff to go cluttering about. But yeah, I got this when I was up visiting my ex back when we were still together. But I want to get more books like these. But yeah, it has all these illustrations. They look amazing. And it has all the stories in it. It has the White Seal, Rikki Tikki Tavi, Tumai of the Elephants. Let me see. I'm going to show you some illustrations of... Alright, because I know it has illustrations of freaking... Here we go. So here are some illustrations from the manga version of Rikki Tikki Tavi. He's a very good boy. He's a pet boy. Sniff, sniff. He's a very, very good boy indeed. Not gonna lie, he kind of makes me think of Timon from The Lion King, and I am okay with that. It's a very good book, and I'm glad I got it. Well, time to get back to work. Later, Persephone. Later, Matt, and thank you for coming. A cautious warrior is a surviving warrior. Exactly. And going back earlier... Oh, there go my speak. There they go. But it's right here. Or, no, it's over here. But I mentioned before that I was going to dig a little bit deeper into the one quote from this story that I found fascinating. So, the victory is only a matter of putting time to use the best skill against Magnus' strength. There's no eye can follow the motion that seems to lose strength. That makes things more wonderful than that. And in the story, you have Rikki Tikki Tavi basically the breaking
Is this better? Hmm. Is this better? Can you still hear me now? But with that line, that this makes things much and that makes things much more wonderful than any magic herb. I like that line, and I think it's because it's symbolic of life, because while we while we may wish for magic to solve our problems and for many things to magically, make us not better, well, I'll tell you what, um, I will make a post involving the quote. So, yeah, since I can't say the quote without, breaking up on the speakers, I will just end that for now. But thank you so much for coming. I have more ASMR on the way, and I do plan on reading some more stories. I plan on continuing the Storyteller's Corner series more. I'm just very busy. Now it's better. Now you can hear me clearly? If you say that yes, now you can hear me clearly, I will just go ahead and say why I like that quote so much. I just want to make sure, so it's probably the music. Close. So yeah, reason why I like that quote so much, that makes things much more wonderful than any mad. Okay, so yeah, why I like that line so much, that makes things much more wonderful than any magic herb, as he's describing how a fight between a mongoose and a snake is won by the mongoose. I think that quote is symbolic of life, because true, we may wish that our problems and our struggles and all our hardships in life would magically disappear, and a lot of times we wish for easy solutions and for things to be easy, but if everything was easy, like if life was easy and there was no hardship, there was no struggle, no nothing, then risking getting out of your comfort zone to try something new. I think, well, I personally, from my experience, I've gone through a lot of hardships, and it is through those hardships that I have overcome, that I have grown a little wiser, and I've become a better person who can handle the harder things, because life is hard. I think if life were easy, then it wouldn't be as good. It's like working out. You earn your strength, yes. Because, eh, again, life is hard. Nothing is easy. I speak from experience, because this was very hard to write, because there were some days where I didn't write, and almost every night when I got the chance, I was writing on this. And then I had to edit the whole thing by myself. And then I published it by myself. That was a lot of hard work. And I'm still trying to get used to the publishing, because I published this all self-published via Amazon. But all that hard work paid off. And now I got physical copies, and I can now say that I'm a published author. And again, the joy I felt the moment that I realized, and the joy in that reaction video that I posted of me opening up that box, that feeling was so wonderful, and I still feel it. It's not as intense, but I'm very happy. I like getting good at airsoft. You have to lose a lot before you win. Exactly. I don't know. I think that quote just kind of means something special to me, and let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the story, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and your comments and your theories on the story of Rikki Tikki Tavi. I may I may read Tumaya of the Elephants sometime later. I'd have to read it just to see. But yeah, more ASMR is coming. I'm definitely gonna try and continue this Storyteller's Corner series. And I got another book that I'm currently writing. So yeah, I think that will just about do it. Thank you so much for everyone who tuned in to listen. And if you are interested in buying a copy of my brand new book, Tales by the Fire, it is on Amazon for $23. And if you happen to buy a copy and you're in my neck of the woods, and we cross paths, I'll happily sign it for you. This copy is signed and it even has a little picture. You're still riding high on your triumph. Enjoy it, but rest on your laurels. Oh, don't worry. I'm working on another book as we speak. I'm on the second chapter, and I'm even putting some illustrations in this new book that I'm writing. So, yeah. But yeah, if you want a copy of Tales by the Fire, it's on Amazon, $23. And I guess that's it now. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! I'm an author now. Yee.